Welcome to the Skn Newsline Newscast. I'm Andre Huey. Despite the increase in cases of COVID-19 locally due to the emergence of the Omicron variant, the Ministry of Tourism will persist with its travel-approved program. This means fully vaccinated travelers can continue to leave the RLB International Airport and integrate into society while on their visit to the Federation. More in this report. The recent spike in coronavirus cases worldwide is already impacting the tourism sector locally. In December 2021, there have been 22 cruise call cancellations to Port Zante, and so far for January, 14. And Air Canada has suspended its international flights, with the last flight to the destination on January 30th. But despite these challenges, Tourism Minister Lindsay Grant, at a press conference on Monday, asserted that the travel-approved program that the destination has implemented at the reopening of the tourism sector will continue.
I'm not a health expert, but the reports on the Omicron variant have indicated that the wave can be less severe. The tourism industry has proven its resilience time and time again. And as discouraging as it may seem, we are certainly not in a position we were in a year ago. This path has some familiarity and is not as dominated by the unknown. We now have protocols and programs to assist us with overcoming our present challenges. It is for this reason that the travel-approved program will continue. Health and safety are key value-added items for travel, and these must be present in our product and our service offerings. I would like to remind our stakeholders and the public that 1, all service providers must follow the established health and safety protocols, which include the wearing of surgical masks, washing or sanitizing of hands, and physical distancing of 6 feet.
As it relates to operations at Port Zante, Mr. Grant said taxi and tour operators are not encouraged to solicit passengers, but encourage them to use the dispatching system.
Encouraged to use the dispatching process executed by the St. Kitts Tourism Authority in collaboration with the taxi associations and cooperative. This will allow for proper record keeping and ease of contact tracing as we continue our phased approach to rebuilding the cruise sector during this pandemic. 4, establishments who are travel approved are required to abide by the conditions of the seal, and non-compliance may result in the revocation of the seal.
The tourism minister gave a quick update on the state of the industry.
December was a very strong month for the North American carriers. 2, the North American carriers brought 5,389 passengers out of the 6,966 passengers, or 77.3% of total arrivals. American Airlines out of Miami operated 35 flights and maintained a load factor of some 80%. The American Airlines out of JFK flight, which was scheduled to begin its seasonal operations on December the 18th, Saturday, only operated 1 flight. And due to a no operation on December 25th because of the lack of employees and weather, that flight came in only once and came in with 88% load factor. United Airlines out of Newark operated 2 flights and came in at 76% load factor. Our overall system-wide load factor is at 55%. So there is work to be done in that area.
Mr. Grant said considerations are being given to requests for medical exemptions to vaccination by taxi and tour operators who wish to function at Port Zante. I'm Andre Huey for Skn Newsline. In a related story, in light of the challenges facing the nation due to the increase in COVID-19 cases, a contingency plan is being implemented for public sector workers, which will see shift rotations and some workers working from home. Skn Newsline's Jacinthia Teixeira reports.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis is implementing a contingency plan relating to public sector workplace rotation and shift systems, as well as the option for persons to work from home where applicable. Minister of Labour and co-chair of the Disaster Mitigation Council, Wendy Phipps, made the announcement on Friday during the first National Emergency Operations Centre COVID-19 briefing of 2022. The recommendation from the National COVID-19 Task Force was accepted by the Cabinet of Ministers as part of efforts to limit the community spread of the Omicron variant of the virus. The process will be guided by a board-based committee that includes the Chief Personnel Officer, Financial Secretary, and is supported by permanent secretaries and heads of departments.
In terms of workforce disruptions, the federal cabinet would have taken on board the recommendations of the task force that as a result of the spread of the Omicron variant, it was necessary for us in the public sector to begin looking at contingency measures as a means of mitigating the risk and at the same time lessening the impact on the workflows within the civil service. As a result of that, a decision has been made that a broad-based committee comprising of the Human Resources Department, led by the Chief Personnel Officer, the CPO, with support from the Financial Secretary, and also with support and inputs, critical inputs from permanent secretaries and heads of departments. A process of contingency planning will be going into force immediately as it relates to workplace rotations, shift systems, etc., and which will be inclusive of the option to work from home in the case of those workers who are independent enough to be trusted to work on their own and require little or no supervision.
Additional information will be communicated to the public at an appropriate time, the minister noted. I am Jacinta Teixeira for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, Tourism Authority Chairman breaks down the process in appointing the new SKTA CEO. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for all your electronics, you only have two stores to choose from: Island Electronics on 4th Street, Bastyr, and Smart Electronics at Port Zante. At Island Electronics, you have some of the top brands in electronics, from the top-of-the-line smartphones, Samsung and iPhone, laptop computers, smart TVs, washing machines, small appliances, phone accessories, refrigerators, and so much more. Brands include Whirlpool, Samsung, Black & Decker, HP, and much more. Island Electronics is located in the heart of Bastyr. Make it easy for you to access and shop. You can also choose to shop at Smart Electronics. Get the same great deals and quality products, the widest array in smartphones, including the latest Samsung Z Fold, smart TVs, and simply the best in household appliances like stoves, refrigerators, washing machines, even dishwashers. At Smart Electronics, get products for your leisure: headphones, video games, from Nintendo Switch to PlayStation 5, Bluetooth speakers, and much more. It's so hot these days. Well, at Smart Electronics, you can buy fans or air conditioners. And the brands that Smart Electronics carry are simply the best: JBL, Beats, Whirlpool, Amazon, LG, Samsung, HP, Dell, RCA, and many more. You can choose to buy cash or on layaway. So if you're looking for electronic stores with the best deal and quality, Island Electronics and Smart Electronics are your only choices. Choose the store of your convenience. Contact them today. Smart Electronics at 466-4271 or WhatsApp 668-2818, or Island Electronics at 665-8677. Two stores, one great experience. Welcome back. The chairman of the board of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, the SKTA, Mr. Nick Menon, is explaining the procedure used in appointing the new CEO of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, Ellison Thompson, from the Bahamas. More in this report.
The announcement of Ellison Tommy Thompson from the Bahamas as the new CEO of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, the SKTA, has been met with skepticism in some quarters. Some people believe a Kittitian should have been appointed to the role to replace Raquel Brown, a native of Jamaica who has been in the post for several years. But chairman of the board of the SKTA, Nick Menon, explains that due to the sudden departure of Ms. Brown and the state of the tourism sector internationally, among other factors, it was imperative someone with the requisite experience and skills be appointed to the post.
The position of CEO is a very, very critical position. You need to have information and knowledge and experience on all source markets. You need to have relationships with airlines. You need to have logistical skills, PR skills, HR skills, team building skills. You need to have data skills, marketing skills, both traditional and digital. And given the technical nature of this position, it's been a very, very difficult and a very narrow sector of people that you're looking for that possess those skill sets. Overlay that with the timing and the need of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority at this point in time, we had two options to go by. Either we go out to market in a traditional advertising and recruitment process, which would take 3 to 6 months, or in the short term, we go and visit some headhunters and we ask them, okay, who in the industry at the moment are available, and how can we access them and interview them to fulfill the position that we have in St. Kitts.
Mr. Menon explained that Mr. Thompson was chosen from a group of available experienced persons within the tourism sector.
Kind of went through a number of headhunters. We had about 15 initial candidates that we looked at. We created a short list. We went to interview. We interviewed a number of people. And then we had Mr. Tommy Thompson, Ellison Thompson, you would have all seen, came out as the leading candidate. He was selected because not just of his skills and knowledge of the tourism industry in the Caribbean, but the level in which the Bahamas were operating at was the next level to where we're at. And we have to have the ambition as St. Kitts Tourism Authority, not just to be the Caribbean's best, but to be the best internationally as well.
Meanwhile, the SKTA chairman noted that while it would be ideal to appoint a local person to the post, the succession plan internally needs more time to materialize.
We do have an internal succession plan in place. Ultimately, our goal is to have local qualified people who have the necessary accreditation, qualification, and experience to fulfill these positions. But as a board, we don't believe in throwing people in the deep end before they're ready. That succession plan takes a while to progress through. We're progressing through it, and we're about 70–80% there now. You've seen our Deputy CEO recently appointed, which I'm very, very pleased to announce, the first Deputy CEO locally. And we have with us today a product manager who's just been appointed as well, so congratulations to Golda Franks as well, which are successful parts of our succession plan and our growth and the growth of capacity within St. Kitts Tourism Authority. I just ask everyone to have some patience. These are very, very unusual times. We found a great solution we feel is going to work very well for us in the short term. And if you could provide your support both to the management staff of SKTA and the ministry, and continue providing those positive stories, I think we'll be in a much, much better position.
According to a press release on the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, Mr. Thompson served as Deputy Director General of the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism. Mr. Menon announced that Mrs. Melnesia Marshall was appointed Deputy CEO and Golda Franks as Product Manager. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline.
The general public is being cautioned not to be alarmed or too alarmed with the increase in COVID-19 cases. Jacinta Teixeira reports.
Medical Chief of Staff of the Joseph N. France General Hospital, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, encouraged the general public to not be alarmed or panic, as the number of positive cases of COVID-19 have risen following the relaxation of entry requirements in December of 2021.
The sharp rise in cases in the fourth wave from Omicron is not a surprise to us. With this variant being highly transmittable, this will be the case in any country, but where people remain vulnerable without the protection through vaccination, the results could be deadly. This current situation emphasizes the importance of the non-pharmaceuticals and more so the vaccination. It's our high vaccination rate among our adults that is protecting us.
Health officials note that the recovery rate and shortened length of infections are good news as medical personnel relies on best practices and updated guidelines to tackle the spread of the virus.
We have learned a lot over the last 18 months. We know that if you are vaccinated and boosted, and are wearing an appropriate mask appropriately, one, your risk of getting COVID is very low, but that you could have a breakthrough infection. Two, if you do get infected, you are less likely to transmit the virus, as you will have a low viral load and be infected for a shorter period of time compared to someone who is unvaccinated. And three, you are most likely to have asymptomatic or mild disease and recover without having to be hospitalized.
Statistics from the Ministry of Health reveal that of January 6, 2022, 76% of the adult population have received 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, while 6.4% have accepted a booster shot. Some 14.4% of children over the age of 12 years are also fully vaccinated. The medical chief of staff encouraged locals to stop focusing on the overall positive numbers, but rather to take comfort in the low hospitalization rate and quality health care being offered. I am Justin Tishiro for Skn Newsline.
When we come back, Maroons in Jamaica at odds with the government.
Come get your fresh smoothie at Master Mix Smoothie in Bastille at 2 locations, the Bastille Public Market or Under the Arch at the National Museum. Get a fresh, all-natural, healthy and tasty smoothie with flavors of your choice. Master Mix Smoothie knows the flavors that you like and mixes it all up for you the way you want it. Master Mix Smoothie, 2 locations, the Bastille Public Market or Under the Arch at the National Museum. Master Mix Smoothie, always the real thing, always smoothie. Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
Now to regional news. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown is expecting a higher economic growth for the country in 2022. More from ABS TV News.
We expect significant growth this year. We didn't do too badly last year. We grew by about 4%, but we think we can at least double that growth.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown, who's also Finance Minister, says he anticipates the economy will grow by at least 8% this year. The 2022 budget will be geared at stimulating the economy, even if there's a fiscal deficit.
I believe we'll be presenting another $1 billion budget, possibly running a deficit again. And it's important that we do so in order to stimulate the country's economy. We may have to increase our borrowings as well.
Last year's budget was $1.4 billion. The Prime Minister says with more stability amid the ongoing pandemic, the government can use more resources to grow the economy.
Now is the time for us to borrow to stimulate the country's economy. If we had done so, let's say, 21 months ago, it would have been a wasted effort. So it's also about the timing of the spending that will determine whether or not you are effective or successful in stimulating the economy.
Jessica Russell, ABS News.
Maroons in a compound community in Jamaica are raising issues that they say are plaguing the community due to lack of government support. All this coming to the fore in light of a recent shooting incident at a special Maroon annual celebration and the confusion surrounding whether the event was approved in light of the COVID-19 restrictions. More from TVJ News.
Meanwhile, hours before the shooting incident, we spoke with Maroon Chief Richard Curry about some of the problems plaguing a compound.
Like Prime Minister Andrew Holness earlier this week, Accompong Maroon Chief Richard Curry became emotional as he reflected on the struggles facing him and his people.
I am not a criminal. Neither am I a Don. I'm an educated, hard-working individual who have given up his job to come here. I stand here to tell you the maroon blood lives on. It lives strong.
I spoke with the chief afterwards. He said he was moved because of the mounting issues facing the Accompong Maroons, including a lack of infrastructural developments, as well as the attempts to stop the annual celebration by agents of the Jamaican state.
The government has not want to engage directly with myself, where previously Ferran Williams, who was here, and who, there's so many things, right? It was all fine and all well. For me, the honor and dignity of my people comes first. And having this day manifest is bringing that dignity back, right? So it was very emotional because, as I say, I was quite disappointed.
The chief said the community has been dealt a blow after sponsors pulled out of Thursday's celebration due to the pronouncements that the event was not approved and would not go ahead. He also addressed the recent approval for Noranda to continue bauxite mining in a section of St. Anne. The Maroon Chief and his people have been strident in their stance about mining in and around the cockpit country, where their territorial lands are situated.
The inadequacies of the agencies that have given these approval for mining, there still lies a lot of questions, right, as to the true purpose of wanting to mine the cockpit country, because we know where bauxite is and we know what's happening on the global markets with bauxite. So we know what the true story is. The fact of the matter is people are being displaced, farming lands are being torn apart, and people are suffering health-wise from bauxite. We saw the major fish kill the other day, right? And when you look at what sanctions and what the authorities have done, it doesn't speak to a government that really wants to protect this environment.
Curry also announced that he would no longer answer to some of the titles his people had previously bestowed on him.
I will be parting with the title His Excellency, because everyone here is my equal. And I will now move to Chief Curry, first of his equals.
The Maroon Chief addressed the matters during Thursday's celebration that commemorated 284 years since the signing of the peace treaty with the British and to celebrate the birthday of one of their most famous chief, Cudjoe. The colourful festival was attended by hundreds of patrons and residents. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Internationally, the opposition in Venezuela is celebrating an election win in one of the biggest strongholds of the ruling Socialist Party. In a rerun vote, opposition challenger Sergio Garrido beat Jorge Arias to become governor of the Barinas state. It is the birthplace of the late President Hugo Chavez and ruled by the party for the past 22 years. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bow reports.
Disbelief and joy at the opposition headquarters in the state of Barinas. People celebrated until late at night the victory of the opposition candidate over that of the ruling Socialist Party in the home state of Venezuela's former president Hugo Chavez. Newly elected Governor Sergio Garrido said Barinas made history on Sunday.
The world has its eyes on Barinas, and we can show with strength and unity what we have achieved. We surpassed adversity in spite of the obstacles we encountered. I want to recognize the brave people of Barinas.
The ruling Socialist Party won in most states during local elections last November. But this is the second time people headed to the polls to elect local authorities in Barinas, after another opposition candidate was disqualified by the country's highest court and a rerun was announced for January 9th. Barinas is a crucial state for the Socialist Party. It's the birthplace of Hugo Chavez and has been run by his family for over 20 years. The Maduro government picked former Foreign Minister Jorge Arriaza as the socialist candidate and deployed more than 24,000 security personnel to secure the elections. People in Venezuela are going through a devastating economic crisis. 5 million people have left the country, and most of those who've stayed are struggling with inflation and poverty.
We are fighting not just for a change in governor, but also for a fundamental change in Barinas society, in Venezuelan society. After the death of Commander Chavez, things have become chaotic.
The government of Nicolás Maduro is under pressure by the international community to guarantee free elections. Analysts say Sunday's vote could be a turning point.
The government has invested so much in this election. All their power was in Barinas. Losing it could inspire voters to go to the opposition, who've stopped believing that through elections there could be change. And we're years away from the presidential elections, but this may definitely help them in the years ahead.
For the opposition, the result is a significant victory, but it's still a long way from winning the presidential seat. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
In sports, an Australian judge has reinstated tennis star Novak Djokovic's visa and ruled that he be released from immigration detention. Judge Anthony Kelly ordered on Monday that Djokovic be released within 30 minutes and his passport and other travel documents returned to him, rekindling the number one's chance to win a record 21st Grand Slam title at the upcoming Australian Open. However, lawyers for the federal government told the court the country's immigration minister was reserving the right to exercise his personal power to again revoke Djokovic's visa. Al Jazeera's Sarah Clark joins us live from Brisbane, Australia, for the latest updates.
The tennis star is being released from immigration detention, meaning he can now compete in the Australian Open next week. His lawyers argued he should be granted a vaccine exemption to enter Australia because he had been infected with coronavirus in the past 6 months.
The decision of the delegate to cancel the applicant's temporary activity subclass 408 visa made on 6 January 2022 be quashed. 2. The respondent pay the applicant's cost bracket, including any reserved cost bracket, as agreed or assessed. 3. The respondent is to take all necessary steps to cause, new line 3.1, the applicant to be released immediately and forthwith from immigration detention.
Well, Sarah Clark is following the case from Brisbane in Australia. So Sarah, so we have a decision. Tell us about that. And is this the end of it? Djokovic can now play?
Well, it's been a day of delays, adjournments, technical glitches. The live network site where we're all tuning into collapsed on a number of occasions, and the adjournments have been happening every hour. We had expected this court hearing to go on potentially for days, but certainly into this evening. But the judge has come back and said he wants Djokovic to be released immediately from his detention, and he found the decision to cancel his visa was simply unreasonable. And as you mentioned, he's also ordered that Djokovic's costs be paid by the government. He also ordered that his passport and other personal items be returned. So I should state that when they say ordered to be released immediately, that the government's got 30 minutes now to release Djokovic from his detention hotel in Carlton in Melbourne. So Tran, who's the lawyer, the legal counsel representing the government, he has noted in the court hearing this afternoon that they will comply with these orders, but a personal power of cancellation was still being considered. So Tran had requested on a number of occasions in the hearing on Monday that they get more time. The government requested more time on the weekend. They wanted this hearing to be on Wednesday, simply to gather more evidence and get more submissions and delay this hearing, simply by the sounds of it, because they didn't have a strong enough case. Tennis Australia will be welcoming this decision. Obviously, Djokovic is a draw card for this. Tennis Australia last week had made the announcement that medical exemption, which was approved by 2 independent medical panels details, it had been approved. So on Wednesday, of course, that's when he arrived and the Prime Minister and Border Force officers intervened, and of course Djokovic was detained for a number of hours at Tullamarine Airport before his visa was cancelled. So this is certainly a surprise, and the judge has decided in Djokovic's favour, and he has now allowed for him to be released from his detention.
Right, so what you're saying is that the Government Counsel, Christopher Tran, he can sanction the Immigration Minister, Alex Hawke, or the Alex Hawke, the Immigration Minister, can now consider whether to exercise a personal power, a personal judgment of cancelling the visa. Is that still possible?
Yeah, so it is. So the saga is definitely not over yet. The government said it's looking at the next steps. Chris Tran, as we mentioned, is the legal counsel for the federal government. He says the Immigration Minister now holds the right or reserves the personal power to remove Djokovic from Australia. And it's the Immigration Minister because the Home Affairs Minister was privy or part of Monday's federal court hearing in Melbourne. So this ruling doesn't guarantee that Djokovic will be able to compete in the Australian Open, which he's won 9 times. The government has warned in court that it may still cancel Djokovic's visa a second time, even after this court decision. So the saga is ongoing, but the government here will be fighting to uphold its very tough border restrictions, which require double vaccination for non-citizens. So the saga is ongoing.
All right, Sarah, thanks for that. Sarah Clark there in Brisbane following that case of Novak Djokovic.
Welcome to the Skn Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boole. Here is a look at the 4-day forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.
You have been watching the Skn Newsline Newscast. For more news and sports, log on to our website at www.sknnewsline.com. Visit our Facebook page, make sure you like and follow the page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download our Android mobile app, search Skn Newsline in the Google Play Store. From all of us here at Skn Newsline and at Channel 95, I'm Andre Huey. Thank you for watching.